Hello, this is Noel Camilotes for Centertainment Media, and this is ChatterBox.
We good? All right, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time, coming in here and answering questions.
Pleasure.
So my first question is, how was your experience working as a voice actor in your early 20s, especially with a hit show like Kids Next Door?
Yeah.
Something that pretty much almost all of us grew up with.
Yeah, no, when I was back in my 20s, I worked on a show called Codename Kids Next Door. And I was, okay, don't judge, all right? I went through, like, my dark phase, angsty teenager phase, in my late teens, early 20s. So I spent the entire time, like, waffling back and forth between, oh my gosh, these are the people who made my childhood, and now they're my coworkers, to, I want the world to burn. So it was, like, this really awkward time for me. But Codename Kids Next Door taught me how to be authoritative in a role, because I'm more of a number two type of guy, like the nerd who like tells bad jokes, let alone like the guy who barks orders. And it felt so strange to me barking orders at other adults who I respected. But no, it was a really cool experience. We lovingly referred to that show as Blood Throat, because every single line was full volume at the top of our lungs. But it was really fun, and it was just a great experience all around.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
You want those
And
next?
cut. That's your one question.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so you were a pretty big part of the Netflix version of Neon Genesis.
Yes.
So how did that feel to step into such a legendary anime after all those years?
Oh, it's a wild experience because, so for the Netflix version, we actually had the original showrunner from Japan who like weighed in very heavily on everything from like casting to terminology and specific words and phrases for that show. So it was this kind of like tense experience of like, okay, this isn't just, us kind of having fun and like stuff like that. Like, hey, this is like, we really need to make sure that, this looks and sounds exactly the way the original Japanese creator from the 90s intended it. But it was just really cool and exciting, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
So you've had experience both being on screen and doing voice acting. Which one do you feel has more pressure in terms of delivering a performance?
Oh, on screen, on camera acting is for me, like, I can't take it because you have to memorize your lines, and I'm terrible at that. So like, I love being able to just see the words in front of me and know exactly what I'm gonna say, because yeah, it's really cool. It's really exciting to get to do stuff on camera, but also, you gotta be in hair and makeup and wardrobe, and you gotta be like on set at like 6 a.m. just for like a 5 p.m. shoot. So it's like your whole day is taken away. But with voiceover, you can just kind of hop from character to character and show to project, and you get to experience a whole bunch of different emotions and characters all in the same day. And so like, to me, that's like way more exciting and fresh. By the way, was I supposed to be looking at that camera up there?
Yeah, it's fine.
Was I?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Because I wasn't looking at you, I'm just like, anyway, just wanted to make sure.
Hey there.
Hello.
Actually, just wanted to get it out the way. I asked Zeno Robinson and I asked Ms. Allegra Clark, which non-human character has been one of your favorites to voice?
Non-human character.
Non-human character.
Okay, I play a character named Haida in a show called Agretzko. It is a show that is from the makers of Hello Kitty, but it's if Hello Kitty had a really crappy office job that she hated, and deals with her inner rage by bursting it out in karaoke as a death metal singer.
Yeah.
And it's really cute, and I play the guy who has a crush on her and tries to go out with her. And it's a very slice of life-y show, but like my guy is like an anthropomorphic hyena, and she's like a red panda. And I just think it's super cute. Yeah.
Oh, you gave the most normal answer.
Really? What was
Yeah.
Zeno's? I want to know.
Zeno said about Pokemon. So he liked to voice a really cool Pokemon despite the fact that he already voiced other Pokemons, and Miss Leprechaun said she wants to get the chicken. So, you had the most normal one.
Alright.
Alright, my turn. So, hi, my name is Zayden from Anime Magic, and it's a pleasure for you, first of all, being here and
Yeah.
everything. And so let's do the first question. Mashley, Magic and Muscles. So, pertaining to that one, how did it feel like to mash up Harry Potter and Swolgers? Like, how was that? Well, how did someone come up to your idea of be like, yeah, you're gonna voice Dot, but it's Harry Potter and Muscles?
Yeah, I think the best thing about that show is just how completely ridiculous it is. And because it's like, I love the fact that like MASH as a main character has just like this super bland personality, and everybody who surrounds him has the more intense, vibrant ones. And it's so much fun. I love the idea, like, I wasn't a huge Harry Potter fan, so a lot of the references I didn't get, and I had to have them explained to me. But like, no, it's a really fun show. It's like, it's got cool action, it's got wacky comedy, and my character believes in his heart of heart that he is the main character and the protagonist. And apparently it's because the creator of this show had a different idea, and Dot was going to be the main character of that, and everybody hated him, so they relegated him to a side character in this. And I think it suits him way better, frankly.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Hi there, my name is Cece from the Zeal for Joshi podcast. I just want to say I love you as Ben from Seven Deadly Sins.
Thank you.
And Ben is such a complex character with a very tragic backstory. How did you approach portraying his emotional journey, especially the darker moments?
Yeah, I mean, well, we didn't really have full context of his backstory until season 2 when we meet his father, and we learn about what happened to him in his past. But for me, what I like about Bon is that he is my idea of what a real immortal would actually behave like. Because I think most of the time it's like a vampire, and it's like, I will take over the world, mwah! And he's just sort of like, hey, I'm gonna be here for like a really long time, so I should just have fun and just be like kind of a decent guy. And so he goes from being like this kind of like desperate, almost like, well, greedy character to being like, honestly, one of the more giving ones. And I think it's really kind of cool that they find a unique twist on that kind of a character. So for me, playing him and getting into character is as simple as just kind of like letting go of earthly desires, I would say. Yeah,
Thank you for that answer, Ben.
of course.
I think it's back to me.
Yes.
Thank you. Sure. So this is a follow-up with the Kids Next Door.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, there was an animation that was spread up on YouTube where it kind of hinted to a sequel. We were wondering, do you know anything if that's still a possibility, or is something going on behind the scenes, or is it's stopped? It's like a dead-end project now.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's a dead-end project, because I know that Tom Warburton really, really wants to make Galactic Kids Next Door. But that's tough. It's one of those things where like he made the show, but he doesn't own the characters. Like that's owned by like Warner Brothers and etc. So last I checked, I believe it was like a couple of years ago, he was still pitching it to HBO Max. Back when it was HBO Max, now it's just Max. So I'm not sure. Hopefully we hear something about that for sure. But like it's one of those. It's a struggle. It never seems to quite go away, but it never gets like accepted yet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Alright, so just kind of a general question. So how do you find yourself in a different creative mindset when you're voicing more of a legacy character, like some of the work you've done in Spectacular Spider-Man, versus a more original character that you take on?
Usually, so the cool thing about a lot of those like legacy characters is that they can change from medium to medium. So like Venom, for instance, in Spectacular Spider-Man is this very specific version of him, where it's like kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man's Eddie Brock, but with like a different twist. So it's like he knew Peter when they were kids, and he's kind of a big brother character. So like, for instance, I don't have to look at, say, Hank Azaria's 90s Venom and go, oh, I've got to try to sound like that. But like original characters, those are like really cool because it's just whatever you did in your audition. If they liked it and you turn around and you do it, like that's the whole shebang. So I would say it's not really that different for me. It's more about understanding who the character is in that particular medium and in that moment, rather than worrying about where they came from in the past.
Makes sense, thank you.
Sure.
So, with all the different voice acting roles you've had, what are some of the similarities and differences between doing voice acting for an anime versus some of the more U.S. Animated shows?
Well, it's less technique and it's more about the fact that you get to see the finished result right then and there with all dubbing projects, which is really kind of it's that instant gratification, you know, where you can go, oh, that's exactly how it's going to turn out when we do the thing. And then for original animation, you have complete freedom, so you're not sitting there going, okay, that's how long, that's how many mouth flaps I have to sync this stuff up. You don't have to rewrite things, and so it can be a lot more spontaneous. But it's also a little weird because you're not really sure exactly what the staging is going to be unless you're doing something that's a board-driven show, meaning there's a storyboard and you know exactly what each frame is going to look like. So you wind up giving a performance that you're like, yes, this is exactly what I want, and then you see it and you go, oh, that's how they animated it. That's my character's facial expression? Oh, dang, I would have done something different if I'd known they were going to do that. So they both have their kind of strengths and weaknesses, but like, I think I like the process of anime a little bit more, but I love the freedom of doing original animation. It's just so much more fun to just kind of do things at whatever pace feels natural to you, you know?
So, we've been talking a lot about all of the different roles that you've done, and something that's been on my mind is, what do you enjoy most about being a voice actor? Because your roster is so diverse. Do you enjoy the creative freedom, or do you really enjoy like seeing the fan reactions to your voice fitting this character?
Yeah, okay, this is gonna sound like really bad, but I swear I don't have depression. I just want to say that. Just wanna put
It's
that out
okay
there.
if you do.
Okay, so I'm not a fan of me. I don't really like hearing me in stuff. So for me, playing different characters is my escape from this. You know what I mean? So like I like being able to hop into a different skin and experience whatever that character is experiencing. And so that's the biggest gratification for me, for sure, is a wide variety of different experiences from different characters and their perspectives on life. And so it just feels really it's a fun escape. It's kind of like cosplay, you know what I mean?
Definitely,
It's that
I
same
understand
idea.
that.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, so actually, when voicing two different characters, for example, I'll take it to a nostalgic place. Hey Arnold as Eugene versus Kill la Kill. You already know those are two different various aspects of where it's like yelling and everything is boisterous and energetic versus whereas Eugene, I'm like, I'm okay. Or the move, you know, so
The move storm.
The move storm, yes. How do you know how to situate your voices and so it doesn't confuse yourself where it's like it's the meek versus the energetic and full of life?
Oh boy, that's a good question. You know, each character I kind of compartmentalize everything. So like the space where Eugene is and like the space where Takarada is from Kill la Kill, they don't cross over. They're quite far apart. So like, you know, it's that kind of thing of, you know, like, what have I eaten today, right? If I've had a ton of coffee, I'm ready for the super energetic ones. If I'm really tired, I'm ready for like the low energy ones. Yeah, I would say basically I don't have multiple personality disorder, but I kind of do for acting. So like, yeah, they just kind of happen to be where they are. So they never get confused with each other because switching from one to the other is just kind of like a it's just kind of it's there and it's not there at the same time. If that makes any sense.
No, it does perfectly. Thank you.
I'm glad it did.
Another band question.
Okay.
Because I really love band.
Okay.
Can you share your favorite band moment to voice, and can you share why?
Okay, this is stupid. Okay, this is not a good fan answer. My favorite part is when he is in purgatory. He's searching for Meliodas, and it's purgatory. It's horrible, and he's constantly getting injured. And so early on, he's like getting falling down, getting hurt. And after a while, it cuts back to him, and he's like tumbling down a mountainside, and it's just instead of like pain sounds, just ow, 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 and then he lands, bam, ow. And so like to me, that's like the best part because he's immortal, and so he just gets used to getting hurt after a while. So that's my favorite part is Bond.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
To me.
Back to the robo-penis.
There we go. Oh man, it's like my head now. You got an impressive resume. You voiced so many animated characters throughout the years. But what were some of your favorite animated characters or voice actors that growing up you took some inspiration from that you to use in your career?
Sure. Let's see. I don't take inspiration from him because I cannot do what he does, but I really like D. Bradley Baker. D is, for anybody listening who doesn't know who that is, you've definitely heard of him. You might not know his name, you've definitely heard of him. He plays basically every single creature character in existence. There was this one time, I was in an episode of a show called Uncle Grandpa, and they needed an ostrich. So they asked D to come in. He didn't have a lot of time, he just had to come in, play the character, and leave. And he comes in, he goes, okay, so what do you want? They're like, he's an ostrich, so we want like a bird sound. And he goes, oh, okay. Then he made a weird face and produced this loud, deep honk. I don't know what orifice it came out of. I assume his mouth, but it could have been his armpits for all I know. And it sounded like an ostrich. And then they were like, okay, that was great. So now we need jealous honk. And he's like, and he makes this honk sound that kind of sounds jealous. And like angry honk, he gives him an angry honk. Depressed honk. Now that was sad, we want depressed. And he goes, oh, okay, and he changes it. Sounds depressed. And you're like, what the heck? And then after like an hour of just making a bunch of crazy honks, they're like, all right, dude, that was it. And he goes, okay, guys, thanks. And he leaves, and everybody, like, including seasoned veterans in the room, just starts breaking into applause because nobody knows how the hell he does any of the things he does. So it'd probably be D.
Yeah, I grew up watching him in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. That's something I grew up with.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where I'm familiarized with him.
And have you seen Bad Batch?
Yes.
Where he plays the show?
I've asked him personally, like, do you ever go crazy talking to yourself like that in certain episodes? And he's like, not really.
No, he's like, yeah, I bet he's good with like guacamole.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
Sure.
Alright, so kind of going back to more some of the classic shows, so you got to be a key part of some of the Sailor Moon projects, and I think for a lot of people that's one of the animes that got them into the medium, so how did it feel to add your name to the credits of such a legendary anime?
Oh, it was really cool. Yeah, I mean, Umino in the original run was like Melvin, I think, back when it was a Canadian dub. And it was like, I never got to see like that show to its completion because I'm not sure they dubbed the whole thing. So what was really cool to me was actually getting to see like some of the characters have a conclusion to their story. Because when I was a kid, we watched like I think 26 episodes,
Right.
and then that was it. And that was the whole thing. We're like, all right, I guess something happens after a certain point, and we get to meet more Sailor Scouts. But yeah, no, it was just really fun finding a new voice for a classic character like that. Yeah,
Awesome, thank you.
thank you.
So we've heard a lot about your different roles and different characters that you've played. Which ones would you consider your favorite your favorite in terms of to perform, and which ones are you just favorite to, as a character itself?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I played Skeletor in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe for Netflix. Which is, there's two of them. There's two He-Man. Mine is the CG animated one, not the Kevin Smith one. And being Skeletor is a blast because sometimes, there are characters who are like really deep and like complicated and you have to find a lot of nuance in the performance. And then sometimes you'll have a character who is just, I'm evil because being evil's fun. And that's Skeletor. So like that was one of my favorites, even though most people don't even know about that show. Yeah, that's. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah,
okay.
That works out because it seemed like you had fun doing that.
I did have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah.
So, kind of bouncing off of what you just said, the opposite of your favorite characters, I want to know what role or character do you feel is the most challenging, or that you had the most difficult with?
Oh boy. Yeah. Let's see. Well, I don't know if this is the right answer to your question, but like I played a character named Venom on Spectacular Spider-Man. It wasn't necessarily hard to get into the character, but it was a very, very vocally stressful performance. It was about a single 5-hour session, just me, and it was doing a lot of character or creature sound voices. It's about 4 different sounds that kind of alternate between each other for the symbiote, and then going back and redubbing over that as me, listening back to it in my headphones. So, and then at one point during the show, like a mouth opens up on his stomach. So they were like, okay, we're gonna have you do the Venom creature voice, dub over that, and then do another pass of the Venom creature voice and dub over that. So there's like 4 different tracks all at once. And at the end of it, I was so destroyed that for about a week I sounded like I was going through puberty. It's like, hey guys, how you doing? And I went to do a callback for a show called Fish Hooks, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm ready to record. And they're like, you need to go home. You can't do this. Go home and stop talking. And I was like, okay. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't challenging emotionally, but it was just challenging
It's
physically.
challenging physically.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
sure.
Now, I want to do another throwback to Digimon for
Okay.
Agumon. So, out of curiosity, or if you had to reprise the role of any Digimon, which one would you do, and how would you manipulate the transforming of that specific Digimon?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, let's see. Well, you mentioned Agumon, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I already am.
Yes.
So I do.
Let's do a different one.
Okay.
Which one would you, which one or different type, because, you know, there's different types of the specific, you know, other characters,
Yeah.
whether it be flight, fire, leap, ice, any of those.
Mm.
Which one would you customize to your liking, and how would you evolve each one? Would everyone be kind of like more uniform, or you want something crazy?
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I would probably want to do ice. 'Cause I think ice is nice. But also, yeah, I would want something that's like an insane evolution line. Like, I feel like if it's really predictable, it's like, that's fine. But like, okay, I like that Gatomon turns into a female angel lady. Like, where you're just like, what? Why? I don't know, but it's cool. So like, that's kind of the fun thing about Digimon. No offense to Pokemon. But it's like, there is absolutely no predicting where the heck it's gonna go. And if you play the games, it can literally be like a wild, diversion, depending on what you do and how you treat the character. So I love going from like super small and cute to giant and insane.
Well, thank you. I love that perspective.
Of course.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
Everyone has talked about the vast characters you've played over the years, Ben, but guess what? Another Ben question.
I'm starting to see a pattern.
Did you have any input to Ben as a character, whether it's about his development or anything that you added to his voice acting storyline?
Well, I can't add too much because it is an anime. There's a pre-established Japanese voice, and the creator is Japanese, and I do not speak Japanese, so I'm not allowed to just kind of go completely off on my own. But well, most of Bond's delivery, it's very like kind of laid back and relaxed. So it's usually trying to find those moments where it makes sense for him to get really, really passionate and angry, and usually it's involving Elaine. So like anytime her life is in danger, that's when his whole attitude goes from being really kind of carefree and comedic to being like, well, no, you didn't. You didn't mess with my girl like that. And I think, like, weirdly, one of my favorite parts, you mentioned, what's your favorite scene from Bond? I take back the injury thing. It's actually where he and Meliodas get into an argument over whose girlfriend is hotter, and in the process, they accidentally kill all of the bad guys around them, and they're left completely stunned, like, where'd they all go?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, no problem.
So, do you have any advice for any aspiring voice actors or artists that need some sort of motivation?
Let's see. If you are an aspiring voice actor, first of all, take that out of your mind. One of the things that I've seen aspiring voice actors do is refer to themselves as that. And as soon as you start acting, you're a voice actor, you're not trying to be one. So get out of the beginner's mindset of like, oh, hopefully one day I'll be there, and say, no, I'm already there now. Maybe you haven't booked something yet, maybe you're still in the auditioning process, but guess what, eventually you're gonna get there, and you already wanna have that mindset of, no, I belong.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
Thank you.
Do you find yourself, as far as getting into character, with the different voices that you do you have a specific method, or is it kind of very character to character?
It's pretty character to character. I would say, really, I can't talk about this guy because I'm under NDA, but I play a character who is basically extremely depressed.
Okay.
And so I'll go to the session with like no coffee in me at like 9 in the morning and be like, all right, let's do this. So, you know, for that, it works out great. The only problem, the only danger of doing that stuff is that sometimes they'll be like, cool, that's the main guy we want you to play, but before you play him, we need you to play this excited 11-year-old boy. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. And I should try to like pull that energy out of yourself. So I would say usually in order to just get into character, I will look at either a picture of the character or see some video of them and try to start speaking in a way that I think that character would speak in, and that I feel like I can kind of like pick things out of the cloud and piece things together until I'm like right around where I need to be, and then just go from there. And then fortunately we have directors who will keep me on track in case I am way off.
Hopefully you got some coffee after you're done recording the quiet session.
Yes, needs me coffee.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I wanted to actually follow up on a lot of you've talked a lot about technique and everything in terms of voice acting. How do you come up with thinking about how you use your voice for each of the characters you do, and what are the techniques that you use to keep your voice healthy, kind of thing?
Sure, okay. So I had a scare recently where I thought I got a vocal nodule. Turns out I did not stretch enough. So what I've learned is basically it's like a kind of like throat massage where you jiggle the Adam's apple around to loosen things up. And then right here under the jaw, all of these muscles in your neck and right under here, they get really, really tense and really, really tight. So you kind of give them a little bit of a massage. And there's a technique called straw phonation, which is where you're blowing into a straw and going, and you look kind of silly. I can't do it, it weirdly hurts me. So for me, I do this thing where it's just a humming, and stuff like that until I'm warmed up. I do it for about 3 minutes before I gotta go in and do something. But for character stuff, it's gonna kind of depend on which character I'm playing. The highest pitched stuff I do is a character named Cutemon on Digimon.
And Cutemon sounds like this. So what I'm doing is I'm basically doing this with my throat. So it's like really, really super pinched and uses these muscles like nobody's business.
And for deeper characters, it's opening everything up as though you're yawning. And that's where that comes from. So a lot of it is pinch, stretch to kind of like warm everything up. And then once you've done that, you can kind of coast and go from character to character.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So, based on everything and based on, your earlier experiences, what piece of advice do you believe is invaluable to people wanting to pursue voice acting?
Oh gosh, okay, let's see. This is sort of a, don't take any wooden nickels there, kid. And what I mean is, there are unfortunately a lot of, I don't want to call them scam artists, because that's not fair, but there are people who are offering lessons who probably shouldn't be, right? Typically speaking, unless the person you're taking lessons from is either a very, very experienced voice actor, or they also do direction or casting, or somebody who doesn't just do voiceover, unless it's somebody like that, if it's a voice actor who's been doing this for like a few years and they turn around and start teaching, you probably shouldn't take lessons from them. Because sometimes what you'll find is they have some really good advice, but they got that advice from classes that they were in, and they didn't fully understand what exactly that advice is. So as an example, when I do auditions, I always slate in character. If somebody took lessons from me and they said, oh, how should I slate? Should I use my normal voice or should I do it in a character voice? I would say, oh, I always slate in character. Well, if that person turns around and starts teaching their own class and says, you should always slate in character, that's how the pros do it. No, that's just how Ben does it, right? And so they might think that they really have a firm grasp on their knowledge, and then it turns out they actually don't. So definitely check the testimonials of whoever you're getting lessons from. If those testimonials are from working actors saying this person knows their stuff, that's great. If this is a person that you know and they've done a ton of things and you want to know how to do what they do, that's great. But in general, if somebody's just an actor, you might want to steer clear of taking lessons from them.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So in the most recent years, Mobile Suit Gundam Origin and a lot of the Gunplas have skyrocketed. And I was curious, have you ever built certain models that you love from the Gundam Origins, or have you started Gunpla at all?
I have not. Let's see. Wait, no, that's not true.
Which is your first one?
Oh,
Is that
gosh.
either it has to be the Granddaddy, or it has to be Perfect Grade, or even Real Grade?
Oh, I don't think you. No, gosh, maybe I didn't. No, I know what I'm thinking of. No, I did. I did War Greymon. I don't know. I don't know why the heck I thought that was Gundam. No, I have not put together any models though from anything Gundam. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, they still have more Greymon for putting together and everything, because they
Yeah.
have done multiple different Digimon as Gunpla has skyrocketed. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
I don't have any.
You don't have any more Bond questions? Okay.
I should have done like a season recap.
This is what it's like being in a locker room interviewing Shaq. So yeah, anyway, okay. So it's terrible. Sorry, terrible.
No, you're-
Sorry for the sudden thought.
I like that.
Oh.
So if you find, if given the opportunity to, what are some characters you would love to voice in any iteration of a series?
Ooh, I'd like to be Batman. That would be cool. If not Batman, Nightwing. If
Oh.
not Nightwing, Robin. One of those three would be awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Just follow up on that. How come not the Red Hood? He gave all the other kind of.
I don't know. I could never really get into Jason Todd. For
Really?
some reason, I'm just like, he's cool. That's not for me. That's somebody else. I don't know why.
More of a Nightwing, Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's I respect that.
Thank you. That was it.
And there's, the other question I was
Oh.
going to ask that got my mind going was, were there any particular shows or animes or even movies that you watched as a child that really cemented your love for the industry and made you kind of want to take the step into making this a profession?
Oh, let's see. It was the original Canadian cast of Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Because when I was a kid, there were, Saturday morning cartoons, so it's Fox Kids and Kids WB. And on my local channel, KCAL 9 in Los Angeles, at 6:30 in the morning was Dragon Ball Z. And I sounded like a crazy person to all of my friends on campus. I was like, there's this show. You have to see it. No, it's not on Fox. It's not on the WB. It's on KCAL 9 at like 6:30. And they're like, sure, man. I'm like, you gotta see this. And then they watch it. They're like, this is really cool. And I'm like, I know, right? And so like I had no idea it was done in Canada. So I was like, I gotta get on that show somehow. And then, of course, it never happened because I'm not Canadian. But like, just watching people scream at the top of their lungs and do all of that stuff, I was like, I wanna be on screen someday yelling Kamehameha.
So thank you.
So to add on to in terms of characters that you would be interested in doing, are there any characters from either like comic books or anime or in manga that haven't been created yet that you would like to voice over?
Ooh. Sure. Yes. I'm not sure who you'd be talking about though.
Which ones would they be?
I don't know. Boy. Oh, that's a tough one. Give me some examples of what you're talking about.
So I mean, not trying to think about something like
Right.
it does get difficult because trying to think of what manga hasn't become an anime yet. Kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of anything right.
There you go. You have a different question?
No, that was what I'm curious about.
So, you obviously, I feel like, you have a lot of energy, and I feel like your passion for putting that energy, through your voice in these different ways is really, commendable, but how do you keep that energy to avoid, like, creative burnout?
Oh, let's see. I try to keep the energy by remembering that each character is their own person. So like every experience for your character is one that's their first time experiencing something. So I try to think about, for instance, like the first time I went to a convention and I got to see like all sorts of other fellow nerds who were like into all the same geeky things that I was into and how excited that made me. And so it's sort of like, well, that's what this character's going through. So if they're going through something that's traumatic and painful, they've never experienced that, and so I have to like relive that if I've been through something similar. If they're having the best day of their life, I have to have the best day of my life. So I let the character kind of guide me, as opposed to feeling like, all right, another day in the salt mines, let's go. Yeah, you know, because otherwise, like, I wouldn't be able to keep it up for sure.
Right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And then for me, my final question. So for JoJo, obviously it has had an amazing culling. Yeah, I know, right? I wonder how I thought of that question.
I don't know.
I don't know. But with so many issues of manga coming out, and more so that like Joylene and other characters, which one would you like to see come into more fruition of any character that is in the JoJo Bizarre world? Like that should have their own entity.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I would say part 7. I want to see it, and I'm sure we're going to get it. I want to see part 8. I'm sure we're going to get it, and I'm sure we're going to get part 9. Because that's like, that is the manga that just keeps on giving. I don't think Araki's ever going to stop doing that. It's just going to keep on going and going and going and going and going. And we're going to get part 15, and I'm going to still be here. I'll be like, maybe like 75 years old going,
I don't know how big my collection is. It just stopped after. I was like, forget it, I'm done. But no, I highly appreciate it, and thank you so much for answering all of my colleagues' questions at Anime Magic 2024.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you.
Do you have any more? I don't want, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, my last one.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
You good?
I didn't know
Oh.
if everyone was done.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Okay.
already my bad.
This is my last one.
Oh,
sorry.
okay, cool.
You've worked on a lot of series, including Avatar, Kids Next Door, and JoJo's. And me personally, I recognize you as AZ from Clone Wars, Bad Batch.
Hell yeah.
What are some of your favorites to work on? And do you have a specific moment you remember that you like?
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's see. Like my favorite shifts constantly. But I would say it's still probably Venom from Spectacular Spider-Man. It was a throat ripper, hurt like heck.
Yeah.
But like he's my ultimate favorite Marvel character. So just being able to play him at all was like really really cool. I'm so sorry. There was a second part of your question.
Is there like a specific moment that you remember, like maybe challenging or something that was like really funny to?
Yeah, I can't say it in a crowded room. I will say voice actors tell a lot of dirty jokes, and basically the younger this show is geared towards, the more profane we are behind the scenes, because you gotta let it out somehow.
Yeah.
So I'll just say fun stuff happens for shows for preschoolers, okay? That's all I'm gonna say.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Of course.